Hello and welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You're watching our coverage of PlayVS Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State looking to pick up another win tonight here against Stockton. The Broncos are the defending champion in PlayVS, so they have a target on their back, and we'll see if they can defend that against Stockton here tonight. My name is Michael Fisher, and I'm joined by Colby D'Angelo Alloway to call all of the action here. D'Angelo, Boise State is the defending PlayVS champion, but this time around, there are some big names in the lineup. We won't see them tonight, but down the road, when you get to playoffs, there are some very scary schools. So what does Boise State need to do tonight to maintain their form as one of the favorites when we get to the playoffs?
So just like in Overwatch League, where most fights are won or lost based on ultimates, and even the casters, they just talk about how this fight is going to affect the fight when they actually have ultimates. Boise State needs to appropriately use their ultimates. Like, defensive ultimates are a really, really big thing that we need to learn how to do, that we have historically struggled with, that you and I, Fish, watch a lot of teams struggle with together. That's something that you can't do against schools like Northwood. You can't mess up a Lucio ult, and you need to make sure you're getting correct value out of your May ultimates and pairing it with something that can actually get those eliminations that Blizzard can't normally do. So I would say that the biggest issue Boise State is going to have to work on as we work our way up to fighting Northwood, I think what we're going to have to work on is ultimates, because that is definitely something that we have historically not been the greatest at, but that we will need to be top level at if we want to go against the likes of Northwood and Miami.
Plenty of time for practice for Boise State. I mean, they're called ultimates for a reason. They are ultimate. So, yeah, I think that's something we definitely have to watch out for, D'Angelo. Well, as we get ready to take on Stockton, let's take a look at how this event will break down. Of course, PlayVS is one of the many Overwatch tournaments, and they all have a different structure here. So, it is a best of 5. A little bit different on the order. We'll start with Control, and then we will go to Assault, which is a very interesting one, usually saved for 4th. Everyone's usually least favorite, so very curious how that will go. Then we'll go Escort, Hybrid, and back to Control. Higher seed will pick for map number 1. That will be Boise State, and then after that, the map loser will pick the next map. The other team will then pick which side they want to go for. I have been told Boise State did pick Lijiang Tower for our first map. I know that is their favorite Control map, D'Angelo. So, I mean, give us a little breakdown what we should expect for Lijiang Tower, which is a map that Boise State has historically done very well at, and usually when they have first pick is usually where we always end up going.
We typically run symmetric strats, especially on the more open maps, so that you can, get there first. It's something that not just Boise State does. It's something that most teams do on Lijiang, especially on the more wide open maps. You can also see some variants of, like, Far Mercy and things like that, things that you don't normally see. I mean, there's very few other places you can actually viably run, especially a Mercy and a Pharah. So hopefully we get to see some of that, because it's not something that we get to see anywhere else, and it's something that I personally really enjoy watching, Fish.
Yeah, Boise State has been usually quick on the trigger to pull out the pharmacy. I know, like, it feels like all of their DPS players can play that far at a very high level. And we see Goblin on it all the time. I think we saw Maxwell on it maybe once or twice. And of course, Plato, we won't see who, he's on the tank position. And before we get to Doc's keys, there is a question, I think that maybe the most pressing question of the night. Can anyone overthrow Plato's reign on ICCU Player of the Game? I think he's picked up literally every single one this fall. Do you think anyone for Boise State can overthrow Plato's reign here tonight?
I think if we do, I think if somebody does, it's going to have to be Goblin, just because he is historically not only a fan favorite, but he's also a bit of an ICCU Player of the Game favorite himself. So if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Goblin, just because he has the uncanny ability to get everybody hyped about everything he's doing.
Potentially why Goblin's always picked, as we maybe take a look at Doc's keys to the game, is because Goblin is really the poster child for Doc's keys to the game, which always revolve around never taking a fair fight, and that is exactly what Goblin does. It's not always fair for him, that will be honest, but most of the time he puts himself in a position that, and as you said, never take a fair fight. Fights at unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantage. That is all things that Goblin can do sometimes for Boise State, sometimes against Boise State. It is almost a wild card there, but I think you're right. If anyone can overthrow Plato, I would expect it to be Goblin. As Doc's keys are brought to you by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at Drop-In Gaming. PlayVS.com. Getting ready to go here for Boise State and Stockton, just a few moments away from kicking it off on Lijiang Tower. The Broncos also have another matchup tonight against Bushnell in NACE that we will get to cover as they getting set up for everything here as we are ready to go. Lijiang Tower, it's Boise State and Stockton, and as D'Angelo mentioned, watch out for those ultimates for Boise State, especially those defensive ultimates. The Lucio ult, they're always a big one there because that is what Boise State is going to have to do, not maybe against Stockton, but against teams like Northwood and Miami of Ohio if they want to defend their PlayVS championship. As we take a look at our lineup here, it's brought to you by Count Identity Trust Global Network, delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, enables personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. It will be Plato and Nerdy Bird in the tank role, Goblin and Maxwell in the DPS role, and a large bagel and Chosen in that support role to start out. And I'm gonna focus in on Goblin and his DPS mate there for a moment, D'Angelo. I think Goblin and Maxwell are really gonna make Stockton wish that, you know, maybe they picked a different game growing up.
That maybe they had a defensive ult off of cooldown.
Yes, at all times, because we know what Goblin can do. Haven't seen him too much this season. We know what Maxwell could do from what we've seen of this year. I mean, I think those two alone, 2v6 maybe? Like, potentially? Like, they are that good. It is going to be very, very hard for the Stockton tanks to keep track of them because I've heard rumors, D'Angelo, that even Maxwell is making Deadeyes look good.
Wow, Fish, coming from you,
allegedly.
That is an exceptional compliment.
I haven't seen it, and I have not cast it yet. I've heard it from our other casters. I've seen it on the stream. I think it was our play of the week last week for one of our games. I have heard even Maxwell can make Deadeyes look good, and if he can do that, good luck, Stockton. I got another for you. I mean, that's the worst ult in the game, in my opinion. If he's making it look good, I don't even know if there's – Doc's keys couldn't even help you. As we kick it off here on Lijiang Tower, and as you mentioned, we fully expect to see, at least from Boise State and probably Stockton, some Symmetra here.
And Symmetra's always a fun thing to watch on this map. It does get a little bit formulaic sometimes because, I mean, first Symmetra to the point wins. Mm-hmm. And then if you lose, you need to immediately swap off of Symmetra. But there are some little, like, niceties that go into here. And as we can see, you only have the one there. Yeah, no Symmetra for Stockton here. Boise State is able to hop right on top of the point. They're able to immediately pick up 2 quick kills onto Lucio and the Reinhardt as Maxwell and Gob right on cue get the first 2 eliminations. A large bagel going to take out Aqualinity. And Boise State immediately starts the fight with a quick win, but Sombra just barely gets away. I will say Stockton, their tanks over there, Kalua, he's not going to have a good time with Lucio Mercy healing over there, especially against Boise State, Goblin, Maxwell. Yeah, the ground Mercy was something is Pokemon Master Nick does get taken out there. I was curious how that was going to work as we now see Boise State racking up the eliminations. Yeah, Stockton, I don't even know what you can tell them to do at this point. They're already going into an amp. And did you expect anything else from that fight other than a very clean wipe when your main healer gets taken out by Gob first with that Doomfist punch there? And I'm willing to bet that Stockton is not ready. Oh, I bet they are now because they're going up high ground. Uh-oh. I don't know if they're ready for Goblin, though. Nope. They did get the hack on to Nerdy. Stun's going to land. It'll force out the meteor strike from Goblin to get to safety. They get the first elimination onto that Doomfist. Could open up a window here for Stockton to jump down right onto the point. Plato does get a pin right onto the Mercy. Lands a huge shatter, but a shatter grab does come out from Stockton. Plus a nice Deadeye into Maxwell and the mech. And Stockton off that pick from Goblin setting up in a good spot here. They have won the fight and they finally flip the point. Imagine winning a fight after losing your main healer first. That was an amazing job by Stockton there. They used ultimates and Plato in specific was caught out of place. They immediately regains, though, one on Aqualinity, another one on Tequila. They will use the Mercy ult, but there's really not many targets left for Nick to be able to heal. Boise State will just flip the point back in one quick fight. That's what we affectionately call a Mercy escape ultimate. Flying to safety. Please keep me alive. As Aqualinity gets a great pick onto Maxwell there. And perhaps they will expect Gob this time on the flank, but I don't know. Oh, they definitely do now. Bagel does have that sound barrier as Aqualinity gets the first pick here. Another one on the Goblin, but Max with a great headshot onto Boo Boo. 5 will come out with a 6-on-4. Maxwell looking for one more right onto Lucio as he's trying to get to the point. Huge pick there. They still have the sound barrier for Boise State if they're able to make a play. Maxwell got to run to safety. Now the reinforcements have come in for Boise State off the respawn.
Last chance here for Stockton. As Nick gets taken out first, that is not what you want to have happen. Another fight where your main healer goes down. It's a double kill for Bagel. Killa's going to go down as well. The EMP does land on to 5, but this is an Overwatch 2. There's no improved damage. And Stockton doesn't have any backup.
I saw Goblin's life flash before my eyes after that EMP, him just hiding around the corner there. It wouldn't have been of great consequence if he did end up getting eliminated there because the rest of his team was still alive and he was too low to do anything. But that was still very scary.
I mean, that was a great Sombra ult. They even hit Bagel, who had the sound barrier.
Absolutely.
But the problem for Max was no one else was alive. That was the only downside.
We were talking about how Boise State will need to get better at ultimate usage to win the game. And actually, what we've been seeing is Stockton using their ultimates much better than Boise State here, but Boise State's still overall winning just based on individual skill. But, you know, you're not going to do that against teams like Northwood and Miami.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Stockton's couple of fight wins have come on the back of some ultimates as we do. You mentioned you wanted the pharmacy. Well, how about the Echo and the Mercy now for Stockton, but it's not going to help Boo Boo, who immediately gets taken out. Boise State immediately has control, now rushing over towards the side of Stockton. Aqualinity will go down next. Boise State will send the rest of them running for the hills as Goblin picks up a double kill.
And there it is. That's exactly what we expect from Goblin. He's been picked a couple of fights, caught out, but then here he is, eliminating 1/3 of the team for the win on the fight. Is he going to be able to get that Mercy? I'm kind of offended. She's very weak. Thank you.
Does get one now. Goblin's got to be careful. Great stun there. I think that was by Aqualinity with a great stun grenade. Kind of stopped Goblin's escape. The 5-on, it's actually a 6-on-4 as Maxwell now does respawn, goes over to the Widowmaker. Stockton looks to start a fight off Pert. Nerdy gets the first elimination onto Max. They'll trade 1-for-1 there as Plato gets taken out, but so does Aqualinity. So Boise State, without their main tank, have to play a little bit careful. Nice revive going out. Nerdy gets taken out. Now Boise State sort of low on tanks, but Goblin doing all of the work. Chose to come in as well. I've never seen this many supports in the kill feed before. And I mean getting killed, not being killed.
Well, so Chosen was eliminated early that fight, and so Plato had no choice but to run away with a large bagel there, which unfortunately he could not do because Stockton was chasing him down. But then we have the Goblin Chosen respawn, and they're not on Baptiste and Doomfist for nothing.
And Matrix does go down there from Chosen. Has to use the Immortality Field as well. Meteor Strike from Goblin will be used, looking for some value, or maybe even just to get away. Now looking for a big flank from the top rope. And he takes out Max. I don't think anyone on Stockton had an idea where he was. And Max will get one more. Shatter from Plato, not quite able to land, but they'll clean up the pieces.
Plato, I think, is the epitome of individual skill on a hero without getting ultimate value, because that is something we have seen a lot from him on Reinhardt, which is not necessarily a hero that he has played before this season. So, to his credit, he's setting up for such an interesting flank without Shatter.
Oh, he tried to hop on top of him. Duplicate for Max will go down, so Stockton will have a second Reinhardt for the time being. Deadeye does come out. Huge double shadow there from Max. Plato did get taken out. Dirty. No, fell off the side. This Boise State now has to be careful. We do see the infrared sight from Max will come out. He's got a lot of scary heroes charging right at him. We see a sound barrier there from Large Bagel, trying to keep the remaining 3 members alive. It is in overtime. We get boots off the edge, 1 from each side. Nano comes out from Nick as Maxwell just racking up the queue. Stockton, though, has finally flipped his point. See if they can hold on to it. They are starting to run out of members, though, as Nick goes down one more, and I think Boise State should be able to get back in control.
Boise State has been staggered enough in getting eliminated that somebody is always on the point, or around the point, or getting elimination somewhere around the point there.
Killa with a huge double shatter, picks up a double kill. I thought that was over. Boise State ended up losing that fight. We talked about ult value.
I'm going to be honest, I think Boise State thought that fight was over too, which is why they walked into that shatter. I don't know that they were aware that Kahlua had it.
5-man sound barrier from Gainbird. Boise State will just wait out the duration, trying to regain here on the point and win this first map. You hear the minefield come out from Boo Boo Kitten right on top of the point. Maxwell looking for a headshot. There's the first one on to Nick. One support down. Can he find another one? Not quite yet, trying to hit that. There it is, both supports down at the hands of Maxwell by himself. Got with another Meteor Strike, gonna land right on Aqualinity. We do see an Ant Matrix has gone down, and I think that double kill from Maxwell should be enough as Max can no longer stall. Boise State should be able to pick up the point and the map here.
If you are on Ana, this goes for anybody. If you're on Ana and they have a Widowmaker, you do not hit the jump button. You just do not do it, because then you are in an extremely predictable arc. And one of the things about Ana that makes her relatively difficult for snipe for Widowmakers, as long as she's not standing still, is her headbox is very small and very weird. Ana's character model is kind of in the shape of a triangle, and that's the point. But if you jump, you are in a predictable arc that that any Widowmaker with any skill, let alone Maxwell, who has incredible skill on Widowmaker, they're going to snipe you.
Yep.
So that is a bad habit Ana players need to break and need to do soon if they want to get past Plat and up Widowmakers.
Yeah, you do not want to just put yourself in a vulnerable spot. That was a great play by Maxwell. Of course, do want to remind everyone Boise State is always looking for talented players, production, and broadcast talent. If you want more information, boisestate.edu/esports for more. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Assault. Can Boise State continue their dominating assault over Stockton? We'll find out after this short break.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, watching our coverage of PlayVS Collegiate Overwatch. Just saw Boise State get a pretty dominating win on Control on Lijiang Tower, though I do think Stockton had a couple of good fight wins, especially revolving around their ultimate usage. Stockton will now get the choice on Assault. Very interesting that PlayVS opts for Assault second. Not a very, player, fan, anyone favorite mode, D'Angelo. Any map you would like to see in particular? We see a lot of Anubis usually, but again, it's Assault. It's not something we're used to seeing this early in the map rotation. Usually it's around map 4 for most tournaments. So any idea what Stockton might want to do on Assault to try and change things up, maybe complement their team style?
I think Volskaya could perhaps work for them, just because they've been getting a lot of value out of ultimates, and Volskaya is pretty good if you want to do that sort of thing. Also, Temple of Anubis is, everybody knows how to play on that. So you probably don't want to pick that if you're Stockton, especially going up against a team like Boise State where they are on an individual basis of a higher skill level than you. The chances are they know how to play that map better. So you probably don't want to go with something like that.
Doesn't look like it'll be Anubis, actually.
Well, that's good.
So looks like it will be Volsky, I believe, there. So very interesting choice, as you said. I mean, the perfect call from you, predicting exactly how Stockton wants to play it. And I think you hit the nail on the head at the start. We talked about, for Boise State, the focus tonight had to be on ultimates and getting value out of those ultimates. And it's something they've had a little issue with. I don't even know if we've seen maybe like one ultimate kill all night from Boise State. I mean, of course, they didn't have always, you know, the infrared sight's never going to get a kill. But I think Stockton, that's one thing that they have done very well, is they won fights when they had ultimates and could use them against Boise State. So it's still a long way to go for Stockton, but it's still something where if maybe you get enough ult, you get a really good play, especially from their Reinhardt, who had some fantastic shatters from Killa. I think potentially could maybe be a way for Stockton to make this assault map interesting.
We talked about at the beginning of the Night Fish how ultimate usage was going to be the biggest thing that Boise State needed to work on against for teams like Northwood and Miami. That's really what we need if we want to beat teams like that. Stockton is the one that took that advice, however. It was for Boise State, and they are using it to win fights off of a team that is individually of a higher skill level, and that's what you do. That's the strategy. If you know going into something that the other team is of a higher SR average than you, generally better, it's okay to blow like 3 or 4 ultimates in a fight because you're not going to win that any other way. And you don't even need, and Stockton hasn't needed to blow 3 or 4 a fight. They've just been getting a lot of value out of 1 or 2 for a couple of reasons. Partially their own skill in the placement of their ults and just using them well, but also partially Boise State has like not been paying attention to Stockton's ultimates even a little bit. Yeah, that was a nice little brick jump there.
Boise State did, as you said, got cut off. Especially there was that one Rhine shatter where Boise State just kind of walked into it on the point. As we get ready to go here in map number 2, Boise State defending first. See what they want to do against Stockton after that win on Control.
We definitely have an Ashe there, so I hope we have the Mercy Pocket because Stockton does not strike me as a team that will be able to get away from a truly exceptional hit scan.
It's like almost the same comp here for Stockton. They do a boo-boo on that Roadhog. Skilla taking a ton of damage. Plato trying to leap behind the shield. Not quite able to find it here. It's not like Boise State has that Mercy, but they do have the Nano Blade for Goblin and Chosen on that Genji and Ana. Plato just doing a ton of damage, jumping away, and Stockton can't even make it through this first choke point. Nice little hack there. On to that Winston. Killa gets the first elimination on the Nerdy. Boise State now in a 6v5, but they even it up with a nice headshot on Aqualinity. A nice ante on to Killa as well. Will just force a retreat. Goblin ends up picking that kill and running away.
So you want to play on the left side of the vehicle here if you're Boise State, because that's the only way that your Ana can see you, and your Brig is like trying to help you from afar. But what Boise State wants to do here is they're trying to farm Nano Blade. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're pretty good at it, seeing as Chosen already has Nano, and Goblin's 82 to Blade, and will probably be 90 or higher, if he doesn't die, will probably be 90 or higher to his next Blade before this fight begins. He's trying real hard. I think they want to initiate Clinton. They're
getting really close. There's the Nano. It's actually going to go out early. Still picks up a kill. Now the Blade will be popped. He does get hit by an ante. Able to pick up 2 kills with the Nano Blade. Almost gets a 3rd as the Primal Rage does come out there. Goblin gets a 4K. Looking for one more. Can't deflect the stun though. 28 HP. And still picks it up and walks away.
Someone just had to melee him. Someone just had to melee Gob at a couple of different points through that entire Blade. They just needed to melee him, but they did not. And so Goblin got a quad K off of that. But now Stockton is going in with an EMP. We need to watch out for that. Well, you can't EMP if you're in spawn. Good job, Maxwell.
Good job, Bob, really. Bob gets the kill there. Goblin gets another one. Aqualinity has done a great job on this. McCree does pick up a large bagel. There's a ton of ults up for Stockton. They just need to combo them together, and I think they can win this next fight.
Hello. If they don't win this next fight, it's going to be very unfortunate for them because they literally have 5 out of their 6 ultimates and Boise State has nothing to do about it. So, and we're even down.
Maxwell was behind them in their spot. That is, I mean, he's so aggressive, he actually might be able to respawn for the most part. Does swap over to that Soldier. Plato taking it out. There's the Nano and the Coalescence. It's Killa who's the target of that Nano. Still have the EMP. There it is, going to land just on the 2 members. The Goblin and a large bagel will be stopped for now. Boise State is close to another Nano Blade. Goblin about 20% away. Maxwell back on the Soldier. Shatter comes out with Killa, only lands on the Nerdy Bird, who's barely hanging on with the sliver of HP. The Nano goes out, but it's not enough. It's a great Deadeye from Aqualinity. Will take out Nerdy and Goblin. Bagel trying to keep it alive. Nice rally there. Pops. Boise State's trying to fight on this point. Plato gets an elimination. And Boise State, despite being down 2 and losing the Nano Blade, going to be able to hold on here.
Let me tell you why Stockton is not going to be able to win this map, Fish. First of all, that EMP that was only on to 2, that was entirely unnecessary. The main problem Stockton just had there is they did not play aggressive enough. They started that fight up to use 3 ultimates, and the EMP got almost no value whatsoever.
Yeah, it was... Stockton committed 5 ults. They're still waiting on the grab for Boo Boo Kitten, as Boise State's own grab is going to come out there for Nerdy. We get now an attempt at a blade, but there was no Nano. Gets stunned, trying for one more slice. Can't quite find the Sombra. Looking for the solo kill. Goblin will get it. Stockton will just simply run out of time.
And Stockton's problem there was partially the usage of the EMP, but mostly it was because they were not aggressive enough. Contrary to Boise State, who has been almost too aggressive and has got them into both into and out of every hard spot they've been put in so far. Because we were hyper aggressive with Maxwell behind the enemy spawn, and so he got picked, but then he was back in time to get some eliminations, and Stockton was not aware of his respawn timer. They weren't aware that he was there, and so he was able to put in a lot of damage, get a lot of picks there. There was no follow through. They had the point, it looked like they were gonna get it, but Boise State kept pushing, and Stockton wasn't ready for that. And so they lost that point. And you better believe, especially with the way Boise State's been playing tonight, they're not gonna do that.
So it's right in Doc's keys to the game is, never take a fair fight. When Stockton got that pick onto Maxwell, they needed to go. As you said, they lost track of time of his respawn. He ends up coming behind, getting a huge flank, helping stall out the point. Boise State now only going to need 71% here to win. Think they can do it in one fight?
Oh, I definitely think they're going to try. I think their goal here is to just try to farm the Nano Blade and then just default win it off of that, because Nano Blade is really good at getting total team kills. And I firmly believe that Goblin would be capable of such a thing. However, I do think he needs to be at least a little bit wary of that McCree with his stun.
We're getting a little...
Oh, we're absolutely going for first fight. There's no reason to go behind him, unless we're going for first fight, Fish.
Cheeky little Symmetra turret there. Symmetra teleport, as we now see Boise State wants to jump right on top of Stockton, who does have the double shield on point right now. They'll trade 1-for-1. Plato for Aqualinity. You probably like that trade if you're a Stockton fan. Boise State will lose their main tank. Maxwell going to be forced to retreat. Nice ult, brings him just back in line of sight. Looking for a headshot onto somebody. Goblin's going to jump right on top of the Orisa and the Sigma.
And the Mercy.
I think he's looking for the Mercy. They do land a one-man anti from Chosen, who took out Gain Bird in an auto 1v1. Plato going to pick up one more elimination. Goblin somehow still alive. 1v3 against 2 tanks and a Mercy. Immediately picks up the kill on the Boo Boo. Killa taken out as well, and it looks like Boise State well on their way to winning this in one fight.
Nick's fatal mistake was she stopped phasing through her tanks, and so she got eliminated and they lost that fight.
And there it is. Boise State in one. Didn't start out great. It was a great pick onto Plato, and then unfortunately Stockton just could not find any way after that. Don't forget, the Idaho Army National Guard is a proud supporter of Boise State Esports. Top plays at the end of every broadcast are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your gear choice paid for. Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Before we get to our break, D'Angelo, I mean, do you have any advice for Stockton heading into map 3? And if you don't, how do you think how would you grade Boise State's overall performance on Assault?
I would not. So Boise State won the map.
Yes.
But they did so with, as we see occasionally, as we see Boise State do occasionally, they did so by taking staggered fights and just doing things, winning purely on individual skill alone. And that is a great strategy that will carry you a lot of the way, but it won't carry you to the top, and that's where Boise State's trying to be. That's where Boise State is trying to defend. And so we really need to get out of it. And while we're proving it's not necessarily necessary for everybody to be completely together on the same page using their ultimates well to win against teams like Stockton, you're going to need that at some point, and it's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Because if you play like this against a team like Northwood, and we have before, you're going to make a fool of yourself.
Yeah, there were some interesting choices there. I mean, we had the nano when Goblin was as he died. So we'll see if Boise State can put a nice bow on this and end it with a nice little victory with no shortcomings. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with map 3 between Boise State and Stockton. Broncos on match point. Can they get it done? Find out after this.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, continuing our coverage of Play versus Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State, the defending champs from the spring, taking on Stockton, heading into Game 3 on Escort. Series currently sitting at a 2-0 Boise State lead. Fish and D'Angelo here calling all of the action. We go to Escort with Boise State looking to wrap this series up, put a nice little bow on it. D'Angelo, what do you want to see for Boise State on this last map to leave you satisfied with their performance against Stockton?
Something other than a staggered fight? Is that an acceptable answer? I mean, I love them all very much, but I know that they know better.
Yeah.
And they know that they know better at this point. And so I would like to see, at least on the final map, trying to practice some strategies and some abilities that will help you against higher elo teams. Because two things. We're the defender here. We're the defender of the title.
Yeah.
We were the champion last time, and we would really like to keep that. I mean, you know?
We would, yeah.
But we're not going to be able to if we keep playing like this against, again, I'm going to mention Northwood and Miami.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
It's been a little sloppy at times is the best way to put it. But, hey, we're going to Watch Point Gibraltar, which Boise State has had in the past a very unique comp for.
Absolutely.
Goats 2.0 is what I've heard it referred to by people with inside Boise State, where they just want to just stall you on that opening card as long as possible, take one more fight under that bridge, and some teams haven't really been able to push through. So we'll see if Stockton can get it done here. Before we get to that, though, hey, we'll maybe try and help Stockton out. We'll give Boise State a reminder as well. Let's throw it over to Doc's Keys of the Game, brought to us by Drop In Gaming, and that is never take a fair fight. What does that mean? Fights at unexpected places when they are unprepared and when Boise State can have ability advantages, which they've done a very good job on, but Stockton has caught them unprepared just a few times. Drop In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop In Gaming is the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. Boise State and Stockton, Game 3 right around the corner. Seeing if we can, leave or at least continue the night. Boise State will have a matchup in NACE against Bushnell coming up after this. We'll see if we can leave a satisfying taste in our mouth after this game against Stockton. Hopefully, Boise State can take care of business. Watch Point Gibraltar any second now, D'Angelo. Do you think Boise State tries something besides their comp that we talked about? Because that's all we've ever seen them really play on Watch Point Gibraltar. Do you think maybe now is maybe the time against Stockton to potentially use a new comp, or do you just go with what you know, get the victory, and head on to the next?
In terms of comp, I do think we will run probably a Winston and an Ana. We might run something different than that, but I know that we will for sure probably have a Winston and Ana, probably a Zarya to complement that, just because that's how Watch Point Gibraltar works. I don't think that this will go past point 1. I think no matter which team wins, I think Boise State is favored. I do not think this will go past point 1. And if it does, it will be hard stopped point 2 for a variety of reasons. One of the most notable being there's only 4 points of entry on second point Watch Point Gibraltar, and you get the best high ground in the game for free. Yeah. But I think first point, I think if Boise State is defending, I do not think the Stockton is going to be able to get past first point unless Boise State, the entire team, makes a mistake at once. Because we've seen lots of scattered mistakes that end up with teammates getting eliminated and staggering and stuff like that. But usually the remaining 3 or 4 members are still able to clean it up. And I just don't, with the layout of the first point Gibraltar, I think that we might see Plato get caught out a couple of times. Plato on Monkey specifically caught out a couple times is something that we might see. But I don't actually think that that is going to be of great consequence if it happens. And I do think it will happen, Fish.
We'll have to take a look here. Boise State is defending. It would look like it is a Ryan, either Ball or Diva. I can't quite tell through the silhouette. It looks like it is Diva, so it looks like it's Ryan Diva for Boise State in the blue, who appear to be defending. See if they also come out with the May and the Sombra that they have used so often on this map to just stall teams out. There is the May. It looks like Stockton has changed things up a little bit. Aqualinity, who's been one of their better players, now over to that tank role. Boo Boo Kitty over to the DPS role, who immediately gets picked off by Maxwell. And that is all.
I was totally wrong about what we were
Welcome back in. We're back here at the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, still getting ready to go. Hopefully going to be able to hop back into Game 3 ASAP, as we just had a small technical glitch there. Fisher D'Angelo still holding it all down, and D'Angelo, it did look like Boise State was going to come out in their classic Watch Point Gibraltar stall comp. Stockton trying some things, moving around some players and roles, but I think for the most part, for what we saw, it seemed like Boise State had a pretty set plan. Looked like they were still going to be able to hold them. How do you recommend Stockton attacks this sort of GOATS comp with the May and the Sombra, just trying to kill clock as long as possible?
Well, they were off to a solid start, taking down one of Boise State's DPS, because that does make it hard to bunker if you can't eliminate anybody on the enemy team. Because bunkering is you want to sit there as long as you possibly can, and what helps you in a bunker comp like that is the damage to eliminate the enemy team, to stop some of that pressure from being on you all the time. And so right now, it looks like we're falling back to Underbridge on the door, because we've lost a couple people, staggered some fights.
We do see that usually the May was at the start for Goblin. He is now swapped over to that McCree, as Nerdy is going to get picked out there. Ant Matrix will go down from Chosen. Large Bagel hit with that sleep dart. Boo Boo Kitty barely alive. Killa able to get that shield back. Nice 3-man EMP from Maxwell. Goblin looking for the punish. Able to almost get a couple, and Boise State will stop them right underneath that bridge.
And if Boise State wanted to, we do have the opportunity where we could push back into that room. We would need somebody, ideally the Lucio or Large Bagel. We would need them ready to peel back onto the cart, just in case the Sombra tried to get some pushing in. But we could push up further, but there's really no reason to, because we have high ground for our McCree and Baptiste.
There is that Deadeye. Goblin will actually get hacked mid-Deadeye, and somehow, again, barely live, but Boo Boo will be able to take them out with that pharmacy. You see a ton of ults online. Valkyrie, the first one, going to be popped there by Nick. Nano is going to go on to Killa, who looks for the Shatter. Not able to find it, but a great rocket barrage from the Pharah, able to take out Plato. And Boise State underneath hold, looking to maybe fall apart here. Nerdy trying to maybe farm a Diva Bomb, look for a last-second Hail Mary. Is going to be able to get it. We'll just hold on to the Diva Bomb as they get taken out, and Boise State will have to reset for one last fight on point 1.
I will say that that fight was lost because Maxwell was unable to hack the Pharah for the barrage. He was just a hair too far back and couldn't get there to hack the Pharah out of a barrage, and so we lost Plato, which is not something you want to do if you're trying to brawl hold.
Last hold here for Boise State on this first point. Grab's going to come out from Aqualinity. Maxwell, it's a great 4-man EMP, but Max hits him back with a 3-man of his own. 2-for-2 trades. Now Nerdy gets taken out. Soundberry from a Large Bagel and an Ant Matrix from Chosen trying to hold on. Goblin racing back off the respawn. But Nick with the revive and the double elimination there. I mean, Stockton should be able to get the first point and keep on pushing. But as you mentioned, D'Angelo, now Boise State gets the best high ground in the game.
Relatively for free, because it looks like the members of Boise State will be able to reset somewhat scattered onto high grounds, you know, across the way. So Stockton went past first point, but it doesn't look like they're in a good position to get past second point, except for Maxwell, who was caught out of position, which we've seen a couple times from both Boise State DPS.
They're trying to get that kill onto a gained bird. Oh, Plato doing a ton of damage. Gained bird once again barely living. Maxwell now on that Echo, as Boise State's going to take the fight right on top of Stockton, but they lose Chosen in this, and Stockton really showing some fight here. Maxwell finally does get elimination on the Echo. Goblin will get one onto the Mercy part of that pharmacy. Goblin picks up another kill for himself. And Boise State will now force Stockton, it looks like, to reset here. This Killa gets taken out, but there's still a ton of ults up for Stockton.
There were a lot of things that Boise State was doing. Boise State is having a really big problem with respecting that Pharah. They take way too much spam, like way more spam than they need to and way more spam than they should be taking, because they're not respecting her and her space with the full pocket Mercy. And Maxwell's behind the entire enemy team, and I don't know that he will be able to get that Mercy before he dies. Good, he got out. Valkyrie
will be used there by Nick, but Boo Boo gets taken down before they can use that rocket barrage. Maxwell now in a duel with Max, who's very low, was able to translocate away, but Maxwell finds him right on top of that health pack. It takes him out. Revive does come out onto Boo Boo. Has that rocket barrage, maybe a Hail Mary, but it looks like they'll probably hold on to it. And Boise State will once again force a reset.
the barrage is not likely to be, it will take a miracle for Stockton to get a quality barrage on Boise State, and Boise State will have to have failed in a lot of ways for them to do that, because the Pharah only has 4 points of injury, and usually a successful barrage, to some degree, requires sneaking up on the enemy team, because you're stationary the whole time and easily eliminated, and you can't sneak in if there's only 4 places to go.
You get a revive onto that Pharah, or the Discord landed on them for a little bit as Plato is hunting down the enemies on the other side of the spawn. Does get a trade as there is that rocket barrage used to try and keep the Mercy alive. Goblin hit by that anti-dodging bullets, and Rockets trying to find one more. There it is onto Pharah. And it looks like Stockton probably going to look for a retreat here. They did get a double EMP onto the Boise State supports, but they didn't have enough damage to make it worthwhile.
Boise State is very decisively holding this second point, and not necessarily for the reasons that I thought it would be, which is usually just because of very, very dominant high ground control. Because it is, in part, because of very dominant high ground control, because that's just the natural way of the map. But also, half of Boise State's team is in Stockton's backline at all times. Scattered about, more than half now, as Chosen's on the flank Zenyatta over there. You know, ideal flank characters. Echo Zenyatta, no footsteps on the ground. Let's go.
They do take out Max in what's looking to be last fight here for Stockton. They have swapped up a little bit with the Hanzo and the Brig. As Chosen has that Transcendent, 25 HP, has to be careful. Deadeye from Goblin is going to be used, able to pick up that Hanzo. As time expires, here will come the Demon Bomb. Nerdy will get one. Chosen, everybody at the party here, picking up a kill. The last second grab from Aqualinity. Not going to be enough as Nick and Gainbird will fall. Nerdy will pick up what looks to be the final kill of this round. Boise State, not too hard of a task, but they got a decent bit of the way to go before they can pick up the win here in PlayVS.
Other than that first fight, when they just capped first point and we're moving, Stockton never got a full fight. They never even got any semblance of a full fight. They were down at least 2 before they were through that doorway. They never got to go through, they never really got to push into point 2 with more than 4 members of their team at any point in time, which I guess is fair because Boise State never really had more than 4 people on that side of the wall.
True.
Anyway, and usually they only had 3 guarding cart and doing that sort of thing, but it worked much better for Boise State than it did for Stockton.
Yeah, it was actually hilarious. It almost felt like we were playing a 3-on-3 just on 2 sides of the map, as you mentioned, because Stockton never got a full push into the hangar. And we'll see what Boise State can do here. Now just a few hundred meters away from a 3-0 over Stockton, and a great start to the evening for the Broncos.
And I will say again that Major Maxwell was just a little bit too far back to stop that Pharah barrage from eliminating Plato, and that was the ultimate. And then the res onto Kahlua, that kind of like was the final nail in the metaphorical coffin for the first tier defense here.
Get the Hanzo arrow out from Stockton. They have a little bit of a ideas. Max ends up taking out Goblin on a headshot. Very rarely you're going to see Goblin on the Widowmaker getting headshot. As Plato's going to jump right into enemy lines, buy some time for Bagel to revive Goblin and get us back to a 6-on-6. Maxwell will immediately pick up one. You can hear the rockets going out. It's a double kill onto both supports for Stockton. Plato finds Max asleep at the wheel, and the Broncos have made quick work of Stockton and already sent them back home.
Max was a very good example of why, even though it improves your aim, it is not a good idea to stand still. Because here, Max thought, oh, let me just steady my hand for a second so that I can get this elimination, when in fact, it was him getting sent back to spawn. And that Lucio, I have nothing to say other than they peeked for too long.
Maxwell is definitely further than the cart needs to be. Picking up eliminations by himself, has a large Bagel on the pocket as well. Goblin looking to farm some headshots there. Able to get one onto Nick. They do take out Maxwell though, so it is a 5-on-5. The first point will be unlocked by Boise State in very short order. Maxwell takes out one, Nerdy takes out another. There is that revive right on cue. And Boise State will just send Stockton back to respawn once again.
This is the same thing that happened before. Half of Boise State is in Stockton's backline, and they don't know what to do about it.
Bill is hunting this Mercy. Has the minefield, but just going to simply roll to safety. Meanwhile, Nerdy in the Baby Diva form, kind of pushing the payload. Doesn't really look like Stockton's going to have a challenge. They do get a great headshot onto Goblin. A large bagel, though, with the Battle Mercy. Takes out Boo-Boo. There is a minefield. Final fight here for Stockton, trying to hold on. They do get another pick onto Maxwell. Bagel, full Battle Mercy with the Valkyrie out right now. Finally going to say, you know what, I guess I'll heal my teammates as Plato gets absolutely eliminated. And Boise State will finally be forced for a quick reset.
That was some nice Battle Mercy play. However, I do think that maybe a couple more shots being hit would have benefited that. I don't know what that Mercy thought she was doing.
He doesn't go to aim labs very often, okay? Doesn't have to worry about hitting the enemy. As we see, Diva Bob from Dirty. Gainbird immediately loses the sound barrier, but it is a 1-for-1 trade. And Boise State really struggling to get these last few meters here. Maxwell is on the back line on this Genji, and that should be enough, but a great hook by Aqualinity, and Boise State might be forced for another reset. No, a bit of a C9 there from Stockton, and the Broncos will pick up the victory.
There's a very sad day when your tank takes a foot, like just one step back, forgetting that they're a tank, and they get off the point. That is absolutely one of the worst things you can do as a tank player, is get off the point in overtime.
Boise State 3-0 victories here in PlayVS, pushing their record to 2-0 so far. But as we said, there are bigger and badder fish looming around every corner, like Northwood, like Miami of Ohio. And Boise State's definitely going to have to work on some things. Well, we're going to take, before we take a quick break, we're actually going to have our ICCU player of the game. D'Angelo, you predicted Goblin could break the streak, or do you think it goes back to Plato?
I think it also could go to Maxwell as well, just because of some of that Farah play. And also, Maxwell was in their backline just as much as Goblin was getting eliminations, which is generally something that Goblin tends to get player of the game for. So honestly, I say it could go for either one.
Well, let's see who our ICCU player of the game is going to be. Nope. Oh, it is Goblin.
It is Goblin.
Faked me
There
out.
we go.
It started on
Fantastic.
Plato. I thought this was a fantastic play.
Yep.
It just looks great. I don't know if it's great in theory, but it looks fantastic. Crashing down from above. Goblin breaks the streak. D'Angelo's right on 2 counts. Not only who it was going to be, but who was going to break the Plato hold, the chokehold on the ICCU player of the game. So congratulations to Goblin. He's our Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. ICCU believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like they're helping their members achieve financial success. Goblin is the ICCU player of the game against Stockton.
I will say Aqualinity made a valiant effort there.
He tried.
Just the game sense for the flashbang was there, and the general, I think he knew that the Genji was going to ult, which is why he held it that long. But the mechanical skill was not. And I will say that about a lot of these DPS 1v1s, especially against Aqualinity, because especially both Aqualinity and Max struggled not with their awareness against the Boise State DPS, but their individual mechanical skill. Because very often, Maxwell or Goblin would be left with 48 HP, 28 HP, 30 HP, nothing a couple of melees couldn't solve, barely winning in these flanks where they're discovered. So I will say to the Stockton DPS, that was a valiant effort, and make sure your melee button is bound, because there were definitely some times there where I'm looking at Goblin and I'm looking at Maxwell and I'm like, you won that by the skin of your teeth, my friend.
Well, we are not done with Boise State Overwatch yet. We'll take a quick break. We'll transition over into NACE, where Boise State is taking on Bushnell. Can the Broncos move to 5-0 in NACE? Find out after this break.
nationalguard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, watching our coverage of NACE Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State looking to move to 5-0 in NACE play. I'm Michael Fisher. Joining me to call all of the action is Colby D'Angelo Alloway. And Boise State, we just saw him pick up a win over Stockton in PlayVS. We transitioned to NACE for Boise State, taking on a Bushnell team, looking to knock off the Broncos, who currently sit undefeated. And D'Angelo, we know Boise State looks like they're in midseason form from what we saw against Stockton, and so I honestly think maybe, the question we kind of joked about it, but it seriously is. I mean, who do you think is going to have the bigger 1v whatever? Do you think it's going to be Goblin or Maxwell? I think the record's like 1v3 right now.
I do think that Maxwell has had more successful flanks. I will say that his flank percentage, his successful flank percentage is higher than Goblin's right now, but that's just because Goblin does so many, right?
Yeah.
Maxwell, I think, takes more time with it, and occasionally that loses Maxwell opportunities, obviously. But it also gives a measure of safety to his entire play and definitely helps his kill-death ratio. So I wouldn't say that one is necessarily better than the other, but I will say I expect to see both of them in the back lines of the enemy team, and I expect for Plato to be there too, regardless of whether or not he's on Reinhardt.
Plato's like, am I tanking or am I DPSing? What am I doing again?
The answer is yes, Fish.
Exactly. He plays Reinhardt like a DPS sometimes, which is, I think you mentioned it, you said it perfectly in the Stockton series. Plato plays so well if you just ignore the ults, because the Reinhardt ults are still getting there. He's had some fantastic ones early on in the season. As we get ready to hop into this, we will hop in on hybrid, I believe, here between Boise State and Bushnell, and that will be the case here. I'm curious how Bushnell will plan to defend against Boise State on a map that they chose on Numbani.
I do think that the Boise State attack on first point Numbani might have a lot of flanks, but I do not think that first point Boise State defense will have a lot of flanks, just because there's not a lot of reason to. They walk right into you, and you can just wait around the corner until you can easily get in them. There's no reason to be in their back line, because their back line's going to come to you, and you can unexpectedly get them around the corner, which I guess you could still call a flank, but it's not really. I do expect we will see most of the play happening here in this courtyard as they defend, just because that's what this Orisa, Winston, Pharmercy, Ashe comp does. You see the Pharah will usually run around the coast and mid here, and the Mercy will hop back and forth between the Pharah and Ashe, depending on where the enemy is located. I don't think we'll see a lot of flanks. Rezable.
Cross gets immediately eliminated by Shockmaster there. As you said, should be resable for Boise State. It is kind of in an awkward spot. There is that res. Gotta be careful though. And they are able to get that res off into an immediate hook by MLG. Great job there by Bushnell with some early pressure. As they're gonna take out Nerdy as well, so the Pharmacy is fully eliminated. But Goblin now on that Pharah, able to get a quick double kill. Who needs a pocket when Goblins pop it off? And we see there MLG and Barcode with a fantastic play there for a nice little double kill. Bushnell getting very aggressive. I don't think Boise State was ready for that fast in-your-face style of play that looks like it's going to get Bushnell the cart.
I will say that a couple of things happened there, particularly with the Mercy Ashe. It was a very resable location, even though the Pharah was pushing on it. It was very risky. Because Winston was right there to cover up for it, that is the only reason. But I mean, that's the essence of Mercy reses, right? Usually you need somebody to look out for you. But then Frost, instead of sticking with his team, where he was relatively safe, and it looked scary because there was a Pharah looking at him, but he was phasing into his Winston, he dropped and then got instantly eliminated.
Boise State does get a great pick there onto Unfazed. Just at least able to stop it down. Another tank down for Bushnell. There is a rocket barrage up for Shockmaster. It looks like Boise State should be able to send Bushnell back to spawn. So a quick win for Bushnell, immediately halted there as Boise State picks up a nice 5 kill.
Because Bushnell did a nice job of being aggressive and going into them like that, but also there were a series of Boise State mistakes that led to that happening in the first place. And I mean, we're unlikely to make those, first of all, because we switched off of some of the heroes, but
a pulse bomb that starts things off. It's barely able to damage the turret for Frost now on that Torbjorn. Still a couple of ults for it, to be precise, up for Bushnell. This Finanami gets absolutely burned. Goblin with the 3, make it 4. Does he have one more off the Nano at 3 HP? He's somehow still alive. Kel takes the kill. Goblin literally feels unkillable tonight.
I'm telling you, melee buttons, I think that Bushnell's DPS are going to fall into a similar problem that we just saw with Stockton. I think that is going to be an issue. I think that we're going to see Goblin surviving with double-digit health. Exactly like that.
Nice health there for Goblin, able to regenerate most of it. Still taking quite a bit of damage. Bushnell farming ultimates. Valkyrie's the first thing popped and gets mirrored by Nerdy. Goblin gets the first elimination. Nice sleep there onto Unfazed. Resurrect does come out, but while the Mercy is away, Goblin will take Shockmaster out of the sky. Plato now joining the low HP club, barely staying alive as Boise State is camping right outside the Bushnell spawn. Oh, nice.
Better hook wins. Faster hook wins. That is exactly what that was. They looked at each other and there was a split second as both of them went to hit their hook buttons, and Plato hit it first, Plato landed it.
Shockmaster just cannot stay alive. It can't be worth just feeding kills to Goblin at this point, right? There's a Nano onto MLG. They get a revive onto Shockmaster, and all that really does is pad the Boise State KD stats.
That is exactly what I would call that entire play, but also that res, especially resing right outside of a spawn like that. That is just to pad the red stats and make the Mercy feel a little bit better about herself when looking at the stat sheet, because there was no real reason to do that. He was going to be back within a couple of seconds, and they weren't ready to push anyway, as demonstrated by everybody getting clean wiped.
Minefield starts it out. Frost gonna pop that Molten Core, just try and cover up the areas. They do get elimination onto Goblin. They got a decent bit of those proximity mines. Plato picks up 1. It's now 1-for-1. Whole Hog is used. Revive comes out onto Goblin, and Bushnell will once again get forced back to spawn. Using ults just kind of willy-nilly here.
Bushnell is holding on to the Pharah, and they've been doing that for too long. Because Pharah is not a hero that you want to use to break out of your own spawn. especially with the way Bushnell is playing, especially with the way Boise State is playing against Bushnell. I do think that Farah, she's not going to get a lot of value out of her barrage at all because they expect every place she can be. What they wouldn't expect is like a sudden Widowmaker swap and maybe some like headshots popping off, or like that, a Bastion. I don't know, unless Boise State's hitting tap, they're not ready for the amount of damage that is prepared to dish out.
Well, Bastion also gets an Orisa shield. Looking for any source of damage. AO9 incredibly low, forced to burn that immortality field. It does get taken out. Kel looking for a great D.Va bomb flank. Able to also get the punish onto Daryl. Will go for the remake and get it off. Boise State, I don't know how they've lived some of these fights, but they get another clean team fight win.
The biggest problem Bushnell has right now is that Boise State has complete control of the high ground.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot that Bushnell can do about it, to be perfectly honest. With this current comp, there's really nothing Bushnell can do to get the high ground from Boise State with this comp. And Boise State's just going to keep playing it.
A nano onto the Mercy with Valkyrie here for Boise State. Don't know if Nerdy will bring out the Battle Mercy or not. Does not appear to be so. Plato will use the whole hog. Daryl with that Valkyrie trying to fly away. Immortality field, only thing keeping MLG alive. Right now, Boise State farming them in front of their spawn. They're barely staying alive, but they are also just all running out of time. Plato absorbing so much damage, finally taken out. We did get a little bit of a backdoor push there by Unfazed on that Wrecking Ball. In a 1v1 here with Kel, if he's not able to win it, that will end the chances of Bushnell. Minefield does go out, Unfazed off the point. I don't think anyone can get there. And Boise State, after that first point disaster, has a pretty clean hold afterwards.
An extremely clean hold. I think you are being very unfair to Boise State when they just held Bushnell literally in their spawn. They could not move more than 2 feet, with the exception of the Hammond, who snuck more than 2 feet.
I don't think this will be a hard push for Boise State. I'm curious what defense Bushnell wants to come out in, but you were totally right, D'Angelo. They just sat on, I think, Shockmaster on Farah with their ult for probably 3 minutes and just never could get out of spawn, never could really do anything. It was just kind of almost a 6v5 there because Bushnell was so insistent on finding value for that Farah ult that they never even used.
I almost think that if you were so set on using that Farah ult, you should have stayed in the part of spawn where you can't be damaged and just launch it out and see what you get just before swapping.
That probably would have been better than what they did. Because as you mentioned, you can't break a hold with a Farah because she can't get airborne out of spawn fast enough to stay alive.
And if she could, it would need the entire team being that fast and going with her as well, which Bushnell was not doing.
As we get ready to kick off Boise State's attack, we'll see if Bushnell can set up in a way. It does look like they're going to have, once again, the hog ball. And that's all Zenyatta, I believe, but not much more. And Boise State will kick this off with basically the same comp. They do have that Reaper, which you know probably has to be Goblin. Absolutely in love with the Reaper.
And I do think we will see some flanks here on attack. I did mention that in the very beginning, but we're seeing the beginnings of it right now.
There's Plato up on the high ground, trying to just knock them all off. Takes a decent bit of damage, but is burning so many cooldowns out of the Bushnell side. As Goblin on that Reaper picks up one. MLG will at least get 1 kill for the side of Bushnell, but that looks like all the Deacons are going to be able to get there. Never mind, Shockmaster now, this Torbjorn takes out Kel. Boise State got to be a little bit more careful than they were being, just hopping on the payload, and actually looks like they're going to be forced to reset. Maybe not.
I don't know if Goblin is, I don't know if reset is a word that exists in Goblin's vocabulary.
How is this man still alive?
That is never a 1v1 the Reaper should win. The Tracer v Goblin 1v1, that is never something that the Reaper should win because Tracer outranges Reaper by so much, it's not even funny. And we saw that thing that has been a curse on non-Boise State teams tonight. Goblin living with 35 health. He lived at exactly 35 when he eliminated that Tracer.
Passive healing on the Reaper, paying dividends, I guess, as they get a great hook on the Finanami. Now Boise State will look to wrap this one up. There's the Death Blast from Goblin. It only takes down a turret. They're looking for the revive, but a great hook Molten Core combo on the Nerdy will shut that down. MLG holding it down as the last line of defense.
Nerdy tried to be Goblin jumping into the enemy team, but then remembered that Mercy does not quite 1v6 as well as Reaper does.
They get a great two-man ante, but Kel booped off the edge by AO9. Transcendence used by Daryl, and Bushnell put up a little bit of a fight here with 4.5 minutes on the clock.
They already had that fight won because they were up to, one of which was Boise State's off healer and Goblin. So very important people to be missing, and at that point they won the fight.
Ooh, this would be good minefield value for Platos. He's going to slam right on down to Shockmaster. Gets the nano from a large bagel. He is going Torbjorn hunting, looking for that melee. There it is. Meanwhile, Boise State picked up one onto AO9, unfazed own minefield. Will take down Nerdy. Boise State won't have the res, but they still have the numbers advantage. As Plato rolls right into the mines, I don't think he knew they were there. Kel now going to pop that whole hog, trying to do as much damage as he can. The card incredibly close to capping. It looks like after that kill onto both tanks, Boise State will be able to get it done.
Fish, I'm going to disagree with you. Plato absolutely knew those mines were there. He rolled right into them. He just underestimated the amount of damage that he would take. He underestimated the amount of them that he would hit. That is 100% what just happened. And I am not shocked that this is a Goblin play of the game, even a little bit.
Fantastic play by Goblin. Starts with a great headshot. I mean, is there anything he can't do? Besides, this was insane. He goes to 3 HP. I don't know how he lives. Just a reminder, Boise State Esports is always looking for talented players, production, and broadcast talent. Top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn you scholarships as well. Sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. I mean, besides making sure Bushnell has their melee keys bound, as we just saw, any advice before we go to a short break here, D'Angelo, on what needs to change? Bushnell had a couple of good plays, but couldn't put it together all at the same time.
Someone just needs to melee Goblin in the mouth. This is the 5th map in a row. He's been living on double-digit meleeable HP, and I'm so happy for you, Goblin, that you managed to pull all of that off. But it has got to be the worst feeling on the side of the enemy team there, seeing that you were eliminated by somebody who had 3 HP.
I just, again, absolutely insane. I don't know how he keeps pulling it off. We'll see if Bushnell will take this break to find their melee keys, figure it all out. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with map number 3 between Boise State and Bushnell after this.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, watching our coverage of NACE Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State and Bushnell heading on to escort here. Boise State currently comfortably in the lead of the series. Fish and D'Angelo calling all of the action. And I think there's one question, D'Angelo, on everyone's mind. Can Goblin keep getting away with 10 HP, 20 HP, 3 HP, or is this finally the map where it ends?
You mean, is this finally the map where the enemy team binds their melee buttons? Because that is all it would take at this point.
You're a support
Just
I don't want to cut you off.
breathe in his direction. And some of these plays of the games, some of these team kills would not exist if you just sneezed on him.
You're a melee, or you're a support main, so it's a little different, but you're melee bind?
Is my melee? Absolutely,
what's it
my
bound to?
melee
What's it
is
bound
bound.
to?
It's bound on my mouse. I hit it with my
it's
thumb.
sneaky.
I don't have to stop doing anything with my hands. It's
Wow,
just
okay, look at
there.
that.
My melee is bound.
I was making sure, because absolutely insane. Well, before we hop into the match, Boise State, of course, dominating in NACE, as we mentioned, looking to move to 5-0. You take a look at the weekly NACE Star League coaches poll. You see some very talented teams on that list. I mean, Bay State, Boise State, Harrisburg, Northwood, they all have to be in any sort of conversation where you're talking about the best Overwatch teams in the country. Of course, Converse is up there. I think UT Dallas. Really, there's a lot of good teams up there, and I think Boise State, happy to be part of the conversation. And those teams, Bay State, Harrisburg, Northwood, that's kind of where Boise State is right around D'Angelo. When you knock off those guys, that's when you can get that #1 spot that Boise State wants. So hopefully later on in NACE, there's some talented teams. Hopefully Boise State gets their shot at them.
And I do think we're definitely going to get a shot at them.
Yes.
But we are not going to be able to get more than just that shot, meaning we're not going to be able to get a victory out of them if we play like we've been playing tonight. Because I promise you, Northwood has their melee bound, Fish.
Exactly.
I promise you, Fish, every member on that team will just pop him in the mouth.
Never want to root for that, but you're like, come on, like somebody.
No, you absolutely
Bam.
don't. Oh, I absolutely,
Please.
I don't want any of them to use their melee buttons because this is absolutely fantastic. It is fantastic watching Goblin walk into an entire team with 3 HP or under 100. He goes in with under 100 and lives with 30. And it's truly legendary to watch. But that's not going to work for you forever.
We'll see if Bushnell can find the punish. It does look like we are heading to, I believe that's Junkertown. It's a very odd picture of Junkertown. Can't even figure out what angle we're looking at Junkertown here from, but we'll call it Junkertown on Escort, which is not a very common map, it feels like, for Escort. Usually you see Havana or Dorado. So, I mean, what can you tell us about Junkertown? How can Bushnell pull out maybe a couple points, maybe even a victory here, at least get all 3 points, maybe make Boise State work for it?
Well, since Junkertown is a very long-range map, we expect to see some snipers ran. Of course, that's what we expect from both teams, if they have capable snipers or his scan at all. Which means it might be likely that Goblin's not in their backline within melee range.
Are you sure?
Because he's some form of sniper. Yes, backline Widow, Fish. You're calling it right. Is that your call?
Yeah, I'm predicting, I predict Widowmaker to be on the other side. It'll be like Boise State, Bushnell, Goblin. Like, that's what I'm expecting.
Absolutely.
You sandwich them, with your whole team and a sniper. I don't see how it could fail.
I do. You mean you didn't see Maxwell on Volskaya? We did win, though, so I guess it didn't fail.
They
So
didn't even get a
you know
point.
what, Fish? You're right. You're right. They got
Genius.
75%. Yes, that is the strategy. Send your sniper into their back line, and that caps their point percentage at 75. Exactly.
All jokes aside, continue on. I don't know what I'm going to see from Goblin. So more back on the snipers. We'll get serious here for a little bit.
I do think that we will also see a Wrecking Ball. Hammond, I do think that we will see something like that, especially with the way Boise State has been playing tonight. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Plato decided to pull out the Wrecking Ball, and I do think Plato would have a grand old time. So the only reason he wouldn't be playing Wrecking Ball is if they have a May and McCree, or if they May McCree Roadhog, the Doom Triangle for a Wrecking Ball. But I do think that if it's his option and there's not a comp that requires him to play something else, I think he will be having fun rolling around the map, being an absolute menace.
As we get ready to go here into game number 3, we take a look at the NACE Overwatch rules. Best of 5. Back to the more standard map order: control, escort, hybrid, assault, and control. Boise State, as the higher seed, will pick the first map. They did pick Lijiang Tower, and then after that, the map loser will pick, and of course, the map winner will then pick side. So we got Bushnell after that loss on New Bonnie, picking up Junkertown, which sort of that Boise State strategy, if you will, where they go with a map that's a little more off-meta, hoping to capitalize on teams being unfamiliar with the territory. As we kick it off here and see what Bushnell can do facing match point.
I hope we see some Play-Doh on the Wrecking Ball here, because that has also been an absolute treat to watch, because he plays it exactly like Goblin plays DPS, except with much more health. And I think that that has definitely caused some problems for some enemy teams in the past, and will continue to, because Bushnell has absolutely been falling prey to flankers.
This looks like Boise State's got a Roadhog and a Sigma, actually. It's a very interesting choice. Oh, maybe, of course, you never know if Boise State did end up picking to attack first. We'll have to see here in a little bit, but the Roadhog Sigma comp defending. Your thoughts, D'Angelo?
My thoughts are that Hog is not going to spend hardly any of his time with the team and is going to be spending the entire time trying to get eliminations on Bushnell. Not because that is the optimal way to play this comp, but because that is just, they absolutely can get away with it. Unless Bushnell changes some very significant things, that Roadhog can absolutely get away with some truly stupid flanks.
Here we just see Unfazed kind of rolling around. Shockmaster on that sniper as you predicted, but immediately taken out by Goblin. Does get revived by Daryl though, getting us back to a 5-on-6 as Daryl now gonna have to allow Shockmaster to swap out there, and that sniper didn't even make it out of their own spawn for Bushnell.
And I will say that this is a very low healing comp, because the Mercy should be damage boosting the Ashe 90% of the time, which so far has not necessarily been the case, but especially when the Ashe dynamites, that's where their attention needs to be.
Ooh, nice flank here from, I believe that's Unfazed, trying to make a distraction in the back line. So you get another great dynamite from Frost, picks up the first elimination onto Finanami. Shockmaster trades it out 1-for-1 against Chosen. MLG with a great little headshot there, and Bushnell racking up the kills, gonna start pushing.
It looks like that distraction from Unfazed was absolutely used well, and there we go. Frost and Nerdy, the last to go down there. Boise State gets a scattered touch if they choose to do that, but they should not, because this high ground on second point Junkertown, especially if you're running a Sigma, is much more valuable to you than a couple of seconds.
Daryl gets a kick onto Goblin. We've seen some Battle Mercy highlights. MLG with another one, Prado very low. MLG with 3 straight in the kill feed. Single-handedly willing Bushnell to this first point.
We should not have touched. That Sigma should have stayed on the high ground, let them have the point, and then proceeded to just make life miserable for them from there. Because Bushnell, if they had stayed on the high ground, they have nothing to challenge Boise State on the high ground right now, Fish. And so that was a massive underside on the side of Boise State for not doing that, especially with the Ashe, and considering we have Blades, so we could easily clear it whenever we wanted to.
Oh, Plato with a fantastic little hook there onto Finanami to get revenge for Chosen, who was taken out. Whole Hog is available, as well as a whole slew of Boise State ults. Really everything except the Sigma ult is potentially there. Boise State just kind of waiting for this next fight. Great dynamite by Frost, doing some chip damage. Goblin's gonna jump in, has to be very careful, does not have the nano for the blade. Valkyrie does get popped, Whole Hog, and the Dragon's Blade will be used. Plato picks up 2, Goblin picks up 1.
Poor guy can't find anybody. Plato's lost them all.
Plato took all the kills. They get the revive onto Frost, who is the lone member taken out, and Bushnell gonna be forced to retreat.
And now we're going to see the power that this high ground can hold for Boise State here. Now that they've stopped the cart, Bushnell has no way of pushing unless they wipe Boise State off the high ground. And even with 5 ultimates, with their current hero pool, that's going to be exceptionally hard as long as Boise State keeps the high ground.
Where was Chosen using Transcendent? That was an interesting use there. We get the multi-core from Shockmaster, as well as another Valkyrie from Daryl. Bob does get called in by Frost, who is the first one eliminated by Daryl again. I don't know how Daryl's picking up so many kills. Nerdy will get the revive as MLG goes down, probably because Daryl's not healing his teammates. Battle Mercy only. There is the revive from Daryl. MLG does have that full hog if he wants to use it. One mind kill onto Frost, but I think Bushnell is just simply running out of members. It's only unfazed and AO9 left. Immortality Field taken out. Plato gets one onto AO9, and Bushnell has to run away.
Both of the Mercies are having a couple of issues because Mercy does not do very much damage. So the fact that Daryl is able to kill Frost, Daryl had to spend a significant amount of time not healing his team. Daryl had to spend a very significant amount of time not doing anything beneficial for his team other than shooting at Frost. And Nerdy had to spend a significant amount of time ignoring the person that Mercy is supposed to pocket in this comp, especially if you have the high ground. So there are a couple things, as there usually is with a Battle Mercy, going on.
Go, another Dragon Blade gonna come out. Goblin looking for one, but the great Immortality Field is taken out, but Goblin really can't find much more. Does get two on the way out, make it three. Chosen picks up a kill. We did see the Valkyrie used there by Nerdy to try and help out Goblin, as Chosen is eliminated. But what? I think Daryl has the most kills on Bushnell. I don't even know how it's possible.
I absolutely
Daryl has 3 kills. Like what?
agree with you. And I think that there are, as I said before, I think that there are a couple problems that stem from that and that are the result of that. And they are Mercy related, but also some of them are the entire rest of Bushnell related. Oh look, MLG's topping the Battle Mercy on the kill charts there.
MLG and Daryl trying to two-man their team to victory. AO9. A great elimination on the Nerdy, and now Boise State down a healer. Sports looks like they're going to have to retreat as Daryl's looking for it. I don't know if Daryl got the kill on Kel.
Kel eliminated himself as the Mercy melee elimination was playing. Kel is like, I would rather show up in the kill feed as myself than as a Mercy melee kill. And that is what happened there, Fish.
Daryl is absolutely gaming. Who needs to heal your teammate? Why heal the DPS when you are the DPS is what Daryl is asking himself
Daryl
right
has
now.
decided that his DPS are unworthy of damage boost and that it is his job to pistol whip Boise State into shape.
Dynamite from Frost just barely misses. And we do get a Gravitic Flux from Kel come out. Let's force out the Immortality Field. 1-for-1 trade. Force of DPS. But Daryl's going to get that revive. Looking to bring that pistol out one more time. MLG with a great kill. MLG having a fantastic game 3 as Frost. Once again landed some great dynamite. Does have Bob in case Boise State needs it. But the Broncos right now kind of on the defensive, letting Bushnell. There it is! Daryl with the melee kill! Oh my goodness! I was like, how is Frost taking so much damage? I look up and there's the wings of death and Daryl himself. Oh my goodness! There he does get the revive.
Daryl MLG. Oh!
Daryl's looking for one more. Shockmaster took it this time.
Daryl and MLG are the reasons that they have pushed this far. And I gotta say, Frost is not having a good game there. Frost truly is not. And my heart goes out to you, buddy. But Daryl is just such a savage.
We get that was a great POV from our spectators. We get Frost, like, wow, he's taking a lot of damage, and he looks up as Valkyrie fades and Daryl just descends from the heavens.
Oh, Fish.
The people's elbow.
You've made a grave mistake. Daryl did that without the Valkyrie.
Oh no, I thought he had the Valkyrie.
After the So Daryl popped out after the people's elbow.
Plato taking a ton of damage, barely able to survive. AO9 first elimination. MLG, look at Plato popping off. Now the Roadhogs have come to play. Shockmaster, we know he's not getting any healing. Where's the pistols at, Daryl? Your team needs you. They're running out of time. There he is. Then he gets taken out by Frost. The time will expire. Oh my goodness.
The revenge kill we've been waiting for. Frost onto Daryl.
Who knew that the secret to Bushnell's success would just simply be Daryl taking over?
This is my absolute favorite. Frost, I feel terrible, but this is glorious.
I think Daryl was at least silver elims for Bushnell. I almost am positive Daryl was at least silver.
I 100% agree with you, Fish. And the person competing with Daryl is not one of the DPS.
No.
It is MLG.
He's the only person that can heal himself because Daryl's not helping out.
Well, okay. In Daryl's defense, there is a certain amount that most DPS should be able to do by themselves, right?
Yes. Yes.
There's a certain amount.
Oh my goodness,
And Mercy Pocket definitely helps a lot. Like, for example, I do think we would see a lot more out of Frost if there was the full Mercy Pocket there. I do think that part of the reason Frost is getting bodied by Daryl is that his own Mercy is not there.
Don't take this away from Daryl. This is Daryl is the only support in the world who's queuing up for aim labs late at night. And he is practicing. That is not,
Mercy aim labs.
I'll be honest. I mean, I know, Boise State stream, Boise State broadcast. If Daryl's play on Frost is not in our top 5, I'm gonna have some issues. Because that was absolutely fantastic. We'll see if Boise State can cool down. There he is! He's not even healing. Oh my goodness, Daryl. He doesn't even have anyone to heal. Daryl is by himself.
Daryl.
He's like, I can't heal myself.
Like, please peek me.
Oh my goodness, there he's able to fly to safety. The Daryl POV, what the players want is Chosen gets the first one on to unfazed. Bring out the pistols, Daryl. I don't want to see you heal anyone. Boise State right now just kind of pushing on to them. Frost does get one. There's a revive for Daryl. Look at this APM by Daryl. This absolutely healing everyone. He's finally realized maybe his team could get some support if they are able to heal as the immortality field does go down. Boise State has gone off the cart, but without Daryl's support in the damage category, Bushnell has not picked up a single elimination. Oh, he's looking for the flank. He's got Shockmaster from the behind. Shockmaster taking a ton of damage. Daryl, there it is! Forced to run away. He knows when the fight is lost. Oh, the sneaky flank! Oh, I thought he was going to he almost pistol whip Finanami there. As Daryl's going to go back to healing, but right now it's been a pretty low game. Valkyrie does get popped there by Daryl to float around. There it is!
Oh,
he sees Nerdy burn!
Finanami
took it out.
stole
Come
it.
on, Finanami.
Nerdy definitely picked the wrong 1v1. Let me tell you.
Daryl doesn't even care about the objective. Daryl is anywhere but the objective as Boise State has just pushed through. Bushnell is getting run over as they do not have a mercy. What do you mean it's 2-2-2?
I will actually say that after watching Daryl's POV, it's not that there is no assistance for his teammates.
He's trying.
There is a genuine effort. This Mercy is trying hard. Daryl's like, there is a genuine attempt being made, and it is not just in the Battle Mercy category. That was extremely risky.
Risky revive there. Ends up getting away from it. Pulse Bomb does miss. Our hero, Daryl, will get hooked. Gravitic Flux plus Attack Visor combo for Boise State will make quick work of Bushnell as we return to reality after we went on the Daryl train. And Boise State has pretty much made quick work of this map. They're going to have a ton of time on the clock to get about 3/4 of the way to point 3.
Daryl MVP. And I will say, to the defending team, 3rd point Junkertown is absolutely something that you can hold. If Bushnell wins this next fight and that door closes behind Boise State, they can hold this for 5 minutes. We've seen teams do it longer, and I'm sure we'll see it again. Maybe not this game.
I mean, Boise State took a while to close out Bushnell despite winning quite a few fights, so I think you are spot on, D'Angelo. We do get a Valkyrie there from Daryl. As Chosen will pop the Transcendence, and Boise State's pretty much in the spawn of Bushnell. The only problem is no one's on the payload. So there we go. Someone does finally make it back there. I mean, it's just insane. Look at the amount of healing Daryl's putting out. He's keeping the whole team alive right now.
With a single target, 50 healing per second beam, Daryl is carrying his team through pistol whipping and
provides his top DPS in MLG, and Bushnell's kind of put together a nice little kill streak here. Kel gets taken out. Nerdy and Chosen have already fallen. There's no support.
Super
there
jump.
it is!
Get him!
Daryl!
Oh, I feel terrible for
he did
wanting this to go. Goblin, oh man, I'm sorry, my dude. That is absolutely a 1v1 that you should have won.
Daryl finally puts an end to Goblin's low HP survivability.
But did you see the super jump up there? Daryl's Mercy play is actually
Daryl's
like
like a 4,500 DPS.
we were laughing about it at first, but actually from watching Daryl's point of view, that is a good Mercy.
Gets the revive off thanks to that Valkyrie. Gravitic Flux attack by the. There's Daryl again, realizes his team does need him. Immediately turns to try and do as much damage as possible. Does finally get taken out by Frost. I think that might spell the end of the line for Bushnell. Daryl flew across the map to DPS.
Daryl sure did.
Daryl does not care as we get one last contest from Unfazed. He will be taken out. Daryl hunting that gold damage. He has got to be close as the map ends. Oh my goodness.
That's the worst. There was absolutely the opportunity for a touch there, and that was on MLG there because Unfazed was eliminated. It was up to MLG to get there and sit there, and he totally could have, but he didn't.
Oh, my Daryl play of the game. One of the few times Daryl was not eliminating Goblin, by the way.
You're absolutely right.
One of the few. Goblin, I think, died to Daryl before that fight started, but overall, Boise State pulls out the victory over Bushnell. A clean 3-0 there. Boise State will move to 5-0. A fantastic job by the Broncos. But again, some highlights for Bushnell, including maybe he moved Daryl to DPS. Maybe that's what you think about doing. Because that was...
I fundamentally disagree. I think Daryl was doing a good job on Mercy regardless of getting the kills. I think getting the kills was the thing that got us to notice Daryl in the first place, because usually we don't go to Mercy point of views.
No.
But after watching the Mercy point of view, that is a pretty competent Mercy player, I gotta say.
Yeah, that was...
Definitely, you've got 50 healing per second, and he kept his entire team alive through all that spam, with the exception of MLG, who can heal himself, by the way, but then instantly got the res, and that was their, like...
That was his cue.
That was their showing of life on that third point there, where there really wasn't much else. And he was also able to 1v1 both Boise State snipers as Mercy without Valkyrie.
Absolutely.
That is a big deal.
Phenomenal.
And that both of them, not just Frost and not just Goblin, but both of them on separate occasions without Valkyrie. So I really must say, it's hard to talk about anything else that map other than Daryl play.
I mean, I completely agree with you, because when Boise State had Boise State had some poor play that activated Daryl. When Boise State turned it on, they absolutely destroyed Bushnell. So we get to our ICCU player of the game, D'Angelo. I mean, who do you think it's got to be?
I want to say Plato or perhaps Goblin, just because those were the ones that did lots of notable things, right? I mean, everybody else was kind of there doing what they were supposed to do in varying degrees, because I do not think that we witnessed peak Boise State performance tonight.
No, the only thing peak we witnessed was Daryl. Peak Daryl moments. I mean, honestly, give Daryl the player of the game as well. Absolutely well-deserved. It is not going to be Daryl, unfortunately, and it will be Goblin. As you mentioned, one of the few bright spots for Boise State. Again,
was this play?
Again, yeah, you said it. You can't see because of his face, but he is at 3 HP in that play.
I said it earlier. I was like, he's going to get player of the game based on that alone. Just that singular play alone.
The only thing that really stole away from that play is Kel stole the kill. That's like the only thing. If Goblin got the play in that kill feed, I would have just said, you know what, just retire, call the series. But a huge congratulations to Goblin. Back-to-back player of the game tonight.
And then this. There was no reason he should have won that.
Can't see his health bar.
Tracer outranges him. He lived with 30. I think it was like 32, but it was 30-something. And
Oh, here we go. This is not
this is the
Goblin highlight.
And this is not a Goblin highlight reel anymore, guys. It's Daryl. He was much more successful than Frost, getting Daryl low.
Absolutely.
But Mercy was still on top in the end.
I really hope we get the Daryl from the top ropes. But a huge congratulations to Goblin. He is the player of the game, brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union. He is a great player, makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Goblin, 2 for 2 tonight on ICCU player of the games. Now, we've given Daryl his love. Let's refocus here for a bit as we prepare to close this out. Your final takeaways from a Boise State, from what we saw, a pretty dominating win with some issues that I'm sure we patched up in the coming days.
We knew that Goblin was going to be the person that kind of overtook Plato's Player of the Game throne, and now it's a Goblin Player of the Game throne, which it was before, so I suspect it will be going back and forth between those two with the occasional Maxwell thrown in quite a bit. And I do think there's a reason that exists. Plato and Goblin are both exceptional players, and they both tend to be the ones that make the most flashy plays, which makes a perfect player of the game. Like, we have solid support play on a large bagel and things like that. But a large bagel, due to the nature of his role, can't really go behind the entire team.
Yeah, true.
And get a 4K and live with 3 HP. That's not something that typically you see. But that's something Goblin does once a game.
I don't think that's something you
or
have
in this case,
doing.
more like 6 or 7 times a game.
It was absolutely phenomenal. A huge shout out to Boise State. They pick up the victory. Overall, well done. They remain undefeated. As we wrap this up, we will have our top 5 plays presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your Grievous Choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. Don't go anywhere after our top 5 plays. We do believe we will have a post-game press conference with Doc Haskell. So here's the top 5, and don't go anywhere afterwards. I believe fine. Shockmaster now. The Torbjorn takes out Kell. Boise State got to be a little bit more careful than they were being, just hopping on the payload, and actually looks like they're going to be forced to reset. Maybe not.
I don't know if Goblin is, I don't know if reset is a word that exists in Goblin's vocabulary.
How is this man still alive?
That is never a 1v1 the Reaper should win.
9 first elimination. MLG, look at Plato popping off. Now the Roadhogs have come to play. Shockmaster, we know he's not getting any healing. Where's the pistols at, Daryl? Your team needs you. They're running out of time. There he is. Then he gets taken out by Frost. The time will expire on that Torbjorn. Still a couple of all 4 to be precise up for Bushnell. But Tsunami gets absolutely burned. Goblin with the 3, make it 4. Does he have one more off the Nano at 3 HP? He's somehow still alive. Kell takes the kill. Goblin literally feels unkillable tonight. Here we go, another Dragon Blade gonna come out. Goblin looking for 1, but the Great Immortality Field is taking it out. But Goblin really can't find much more. Does get 2 on the way out, make it 3. Chosen picks up a kill. We did see the Valkyrie used there by Nerdy to try and help out Goblin. As Chosen is eliminated by PVS and MLG, and Bushnell's kind of put together a nice little kill streak here. Kell gets taken out. Nerdy and Chosen have already fallen. There's no support.
Super
there it is!
Get him!
Daryl!
Oh, I feel terrible
for
wanting this to go. Goblin, oh man, I'm sorry, my dude. That is absolutely a 1v1 that you should have won.
Daryl, back in the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Wrap it up a nice 2-0 night for Boise State in Overwatch, being joined by Doc Haskell to put a bow on everything here in the post-game press conference as the players start to head home, heads held high, except maybe Goblin. We were just having some fun there at the end as Boise State with a phenomenal performance. Doc joins us now, and Doc, you know, I'll give you the floor for your thoughts on Boise State's 2 wins they picked up tonight against Stockton and Bushnell.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Honestly, we're getting into the meat of the season now. We're seeing these schedules a few days in advance. We get to scout for them. We get to get a sense of who we're going to play and how we want to play them and game plan. And honestly, that's the really fun part.
Boise State, I mean, so far undefeated in play versus 2-0. That season just starting a few weeks ago. 5-0 in NACE right now. Getting some recognition of the coaches poll as well. I mean, you got to be happy with how the squad's been doing so far in this semester.
Yeah, honestly, and we really like the West Division that we're in, that NACE Star League put together for us. Bushnell, we've been really excited about. We got to play them last year. Now they're without Alexio, but they've got an amazing group of returning players that play together really well. You saw on Umbani. Oh my gosh, they really can put it together. They rushed first point and just kind of messed us up. We didn't see that hog coming. It was really smart by the coaches, and they played it really, really well.
Yeah, some bright spots for Bushnell. I think Stockton had some great ones
Yes.
as well. I mean, we've done the report card at times. You don't need to bring out the full thing, but I mean, just your overall grade for your Boise State team on tonight's performances.
Well, what you saw was probably an A-. What I heard in my comms was definitely a B-. We've got some definite communication things that we want to be doing, and we didn't do that to the level that we are capable of. And if we don't do those things at that level when we're up against the Bay States of the world, that's going to create some problems.
Yeah, PlayVS, I mean, defending champions, but there are some very tough teams like Northwood and Miami, Ohio. In that one, that'll give you a run for your money. You mentioned Bay State as well, the top team in NACE right now. Of course, you also have to look out for Northwood and Harrisburg. And how do you make sure you use these games that, you know, might be against competition that isn't at that Northwood and Harrisburg level? How do you use these games to make sure you're always improving and don't get caught in bad habits or anything that could form that could cost you when you play a team like a Bay State?
We play the compositions that we have prepared to play, and we don't play crazy stuff. Honestly, that's how we prevent ourselves from getting caught in that trap. We don't want to just throw games at you know, kind of funky comps that we can play around and have success if we can't use them later. Honestly, we need to understand how to win with the, you know, the pieces that we have.
And I mean, Boise State Overwatch, I think we touched on this last week in quite a few tournaments. We have PlayVS, we have NACE, we have ECAC coming up. We also have, you know, the TESPA, the homecoming one for
ABC,
Blizzard, ABC, it changes names every year. So, I mean, how are you keeping the players fresh and avoiding fatigue? Because, I mean, it was a lot of Overwatch tonight. I think you guys even might have had a scrim as well tonight. So how are you making sure you keep your players fresh and keep them focused when really it feels like 4 nights out of 7 every week, they've got to be on top of their game ready to go in a real competition?
So that is a really good question, and that is the challenge at this level of competition. We have so many games that we need to get through. Some take a lot more, you know, are much higher cognitive load than others. And we have to buffer classes, midterms. We've had illnesses kind of moving through. I've been the most recent victim of that. The key is truly goal setting and understanding what we want to accomplish each week toward our goal of being in these championship games again. If we didn't have good goals, if we didn't have amazing leaders like Jordan, like Nerdy, like you know, Kel, if we didn't have great leaders within the group, we would not be able to function the way that we do.
Well, I mean, as we prepare to put a bow on this coach's show, you talked about the goals. I mean, what is the goal for this week? You're already 2-0, but why don't you share us the goal for Boise State Overwatch this week going forward? Because I know you still have some more matches.
Well, the big part of it is that we need to play our compositions to the win condition prescribed. We need to play our ults into theirs. We need to maintain tempo. We need to communicate through those things. And so it almost doesn't matter what the map score is. We can win a competition like we did earlier, 3-0, and have a lot of things we feel like we need to fix. So not focusing on the outcomes, but focusing on the process is key to making sure that we're moving forward. We have big goals for the season. We finished well. We're getting a lot of respect from the voters, NACE and otherwise, and which is fabulous. But the only way you maintain that is if you come ready to play and you upset folks like St. Thomas twice at Hugh Fest and others along the way.
As you see there is the coach's poll. I mean, you mentioned the Bay States of the world, the Harrisburgs of the world, Northwood up there as well. I mean, there are some very talented teams still on early on in the NACE Star League. You're probably going to see some combination of those top 5, top 6 teams going forward. So, I'm really impressed with the way, as you said it. You won against Stockton earlier, but you knew you had a lot of things to work on, and that's what Boise State, I think, does a really good job of making sure they always approach those games and make sure they take care of business, because there's some tougher opponents that are up ahead.
There are, and I don't want to derail the conversation here, but it would be nice to reset and just talk about this graphic for just a second, if we have a second, if production will give us the time, because this is a good one for us. This is NACE. And NACE has 5 of the top 10 EFUS rated programs in it. I mean, it's got Bay State. It's got Boise State. It's got Harrisburg. It's got Northwood. It's got UTD. This is a real division and a big one to boot. what I find a little bit interesting, and I hope the voters are aware of this, UTD beat Bay State. Now, Bay State says, well, yeah, but we had some of our backups. The last time I checked, when a school plays a school, we're not asking who the roster was. When Notre Dame plays Pick'em, right, Oklahoma State, whoever wins that game wins that game. It's not like, well, we played a backup punter and so it shouldn't count. No, that's the way it goes. So while Bay State was voted highly and it shows the respect that people have for that team, UTD, that's a great program and a really good team. We've scrimmed them a bunch. Bay State's not really scrimming a lot of people. So, I think it should be shaken up a little bit there. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised to see us ranked above Harrisburg. Harrisburg is a really, really good program, and we hope to be able to play them in the playoffs. But it's nice to see two of our division folks here in the top 10 for NACE. Bushnell and us.
Yeah, I think those top 5, probably top 6 teams. I know Converse is kind of later this thing. I think if you took Bay State, Boise State, Harrisburg, UTD, and Northwood, pull them out of a hat in any order, you'd probably be right, and you probably have people upset that it isn't in the right order. But I think those 5, Converse, I think had a big upset over Winthrop, and that's probably why they've jumped up in the standings. So
for sure,
I think any of those 6 teams, as you said, even Bushnell up there, Bryant Stratton's a team we played who kind of snuck up on us one year, almost knocked us off last season in a tournament. So there are some really good teams on that list, but of course, you got to take care of who's in front of you. You don't have to maybe play those teams until the playoffs. So like I said, I'm really impressed though, Doc. As you said, you take care of business so you can focus on those teams because some of the things you're getting away with now, maybe not going to be able to get away with later. That's always great.
So I saw you guys talking a ton about Daryl.
Yes.
That was a phenomenal mercy play.
Hilarious. We know how talented Goblin is. We know how talented Frost is, and Daryl was 1v1ing them. Absolutely phenomenal for Bushnell. I don't know how much that helps him in the long run. My favorite part was Daryl just, jumping across the map to be able to try and shoot, I believe, Frost in the head. So,
and we were having that conversation in chat. Like, you can't let Daryl do that. And what I think is awesome, even though Alexio's not playing with Bushnell this year, that's totally an Alexio move.
Yep.
Battle mercy to the nth degree. And give him so much respect. Production will tell you, I ran to the window after that when I said, if there's any way you can make Daryl the player of the game, that was my player of the game.
I think he was. I think everyone's player of the game because it was just spectacular. We didn't quite get the replay. I really wanted to see it. He comes from just out of nowhere, ascends on top of Frost, punches him in the face.
Yep.
Fantastic effort all around. Boise State still got the win, but a huge shout-out to Bushnell and especially Daryl having a good time here. Do you have any closing thoughts as we wrap this one up? We're 2-0 on the night.
I have a closing question for you, so it may string out just a little bit here.
All right.
Apologies to the folks who are like, I've got to put the kids to bed. When you're looking at some of the compositions and some of the heroes that you're not used to seeing in previous seasons that we're playing, who jumps out at you as like, well, that's an interesting look for this person or that person?
Oh, that is a very good question. I think the one that, I'll take the cop-out answer here in a little bit. The one that impressed me the most is just how impressive Maxwell's hero pool is. Because he's a new player, I'm not used to seeing. I got so used to the Goblin Play-Doh. They were so good on like McCree, Ash, or Tracer McCree, or Ash Farah. There's so many different combinations. And what really impresses me almost every single week is the hero pool for Maxwell and what he's able to do on those heroes because he has some phenomenal plays. I know he's had some fantastic May plays, sniping divas as they're getting ejected out of the mech. So I'll take the cop out here, but it really has been to me, it's just the absolute insane skill that Maxwell brings to the table. I didn't think you could get better than Plato and Goblin, and I don't know how you even are going to be able to rank those once they're all playing DPS, but that's what blows me away every week is Maxwell's skill. Every time I'm like, Goblin does something I know is going to be crazy. Maxwell, I don't, not so much, and he pulls it off so well.
Well, and one of the things that Goblin is famous for doing historically is going, who's not very popular right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll play that one.
Yeah, the Reaper. As soon as I saw the Reaper, I was like, "Oh, that's the Goblin." I don't even have to ask about it. But no,
the Genji.
The Genji, yeah. I knew it was Goblin's always on Genji. He's found a way to make Genji work for forever.
Genji is the lowest pick rate in comp right now.
He makes it work. Last season, he made it work. It's the nano. It doesn't even need the nano on some maps. We saw in Junkertown. Absolutely popped off. No, again, it's Boise State's team all is impressive. I love watching Plato as well on that tank role, kind of figuring himself out, playing it like a DPS. As D'Angelo and I said, you take away the ult misses and Plato's probably the best thing you've ever seen because he's doing so much damage. It's those ults, a couple of shatters here and there. But honestly, I think this Boise State team is looking pretty strong, and I can't wait till we get to those playoffs, the meat of the schedule. We get those Bay States, we get those Harrisburgs, we get those UTDs. I think that will be a ton of fun. Any final thoughts, Doc?
No, we're just excited about the rest of the schedule, finishing out NACE and seeing what the playoffs look like.
That'll be a ton of fun. I know we mentioned PlayVS just starting, ECAC just starting, TESPA, ABC, Blizzard's Hope coming, all just starting as well. So those playoffs are far away. NACE, though, 5-0. Boise State holding it down. I think they got 3 or 4 more weeks in the regular season. We'll see what the playoffs take us. But that will wrap up tonight's show. It has been a ton of fun. Once again, Boise State coming out on top, but a huge shout-out to Daryl, maybe the MVP in everybody's heart and on the field as well. But until next time, we will leave you, and have a great evening.